The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. You know, Joy, today is, this happens every year. This article comes out. And I've touched on it every single year. It's a good time waster as we have July and August sports talk. So Joy Taylor is joining The Athletic. A guy named Mike Sando does this every year. And he writes for The Athletic, Joy. And he privately polls 55 NFL coaches and executives. It's a survey, and it's an anonymous survey, placing all quarterbacks into 5 tiers. And again, these are the GMs. These are the executives. These are not my opinions. I will offer my opinions on the tiers. And each tier has a description. He does a really good job. Mike Sando does a good job at this. He makes it very clear. And are you ready for them to be unveiled?
I am so ready, yes.
Okay, so it's theathletic.com. It's the quarterback tiers. 55 coaches and executives rank the NFL starters. So the first tier of quarterbacks is a quarterback that can carry his team each week. The team wins because of him. He expertly handles pure passing situations. And I don't really care much about the order. I really don't. It's Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson. I agree across the board. The only quarterback missing from that group is Carson Wentz, and they put him in our next tier, that is tier 2, because Carson Wentz has a lot of injuries, so I think it's totally fair to put Carson Wentz in tier 2. I think he's the only quarterback talent in this league not in tier 1, but their reasoning for tier 2 is injuries, and that I agree with. Tier 2 is a quarterback that can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. He has a hole or two in his game. Their list, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, mostly. Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, and Baker Mayfield. I don't have any problems. It's not Baker Mayfield. I think that's what Baker's going to become, a tier 2 quarterback. Again, I would put Wentz in tier 1, but I understand the reasoning, the injuries. So he's a tier 2. Now, tier 3 is a legitimate starter, but needs a heavier running game and or defense to win. It's a lower volume passing offense, makes his job easier. This is the most interesting tier because finally NFL coaches and executives are agreeing with what I've been saying since Cam Newton came in the league. He's not a top 10 quarterback. Cam Newton is in tier 3, right next to Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, and Jameis Winston, Eli Trubisky, Mariota, and Sam Darnold. This tier also has what I believe is the most underrated quarterback on this assignment by Mike Sando, Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe Jimmy Garoppolo has a chance to be a tier 1 quarterback, but by October 15th, he'll be a tier 2 quarterback. So my first takeaway on this list is Wentz's injuries fairly and proportionately knock him down a tier. Cam is finally being unveiled for what he is, which is he needs a running game. You can't ask him to throw 35 times. He's talented, but sometimes distracted and emotionally uneven. Tier 4 is a tier 4 quarterback could be an unproven player with some upside or a veteran who's ultimately best suited as a backup. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Case Keenum, Josh Rosen. At this point, I don't have any huge arguments with that. I do think Lamar's ceiling is lower. You could certainly push Trubisky into the tier 4. I wouldn't have had a huge problem with that. So there it is. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. So let's go back to Tier 1. Aaron Rodgers, Brady, Brees, Mahomes, Luck, Rivers, Ben, Wilson. I overwhelmingly agree with that. Let's go to Tier 2. Matt Ryan, Wentz, Stafford, Deshaun, Goff, Baker. I overwhelmingly agree with that. The Wentz exception, I get their reasoning, so I agree with that. Tier 3, I agree with all of it except Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think much like Wentz's injury, Garoppolo's scarcity of games keeps him in a tier lower. I think people really like him. We just haven't seen him play enough. He started 8 games for San Francisco. He's 6-2, but there's not enough games there. There's not enough film. There's not enough footage to make him in the same class as a Deshaun Watson or a Jared Goff. And then tier 4 are guys that are seen as either backups. This is Lamar, Josh, Ryan, Case, Josh Rosen. In a lot of instances here, I don't know what Josh Allen and Josh Rosen are. I got to see more games. I do think Lamar's got a lower ceiling, but I also feel that with Mitch Trubisky. I think as a thrower, I think Lamar and Trubisky, when having to throw late trailing, are limited quarterbacks. They can throw on play action. They can throw on 3rd and 1. They can throw on their terms. But if you ask Lamar or Trubisky, 3rd and 9, everybody knows in the park you're throwing. I think they're limited. I think their ceiling's pretty low. So, Joey, your thoughts on all these tiers?
I completely agree with all of them, but I do think that Sam Darnold is interesting. You don't think Sam Darnold is going to make a jump this year?
Well, Sam is in, hold on, let me see this real quick.
He's in tier 3.
He's in tier 3. I think that's appropriate for where he should be.
Right now.
Yes, because, first of all, they had a defensive coach. They had the combination of O-line receivers and backs was the worst in the league. So I can't put Sam in. I would be totally...
No, but I'm saying you think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to make a jump to tier 2.
I think Adam Gase first year will become a high in that Cam, Kirk, Dak Prescott area, a high tier 3, and then I think eventually he moves to a tier 2 in his career. But and this is not an excuse. If I watched every Jets game last year, the O-line was atrocious. The receivers outside of Robbie Anderson, nobody's a game breaker.
Right.
They have a good young tight end. He's not available for the first month this year, and the running backs were atrocious. So that's why they had to spend so much money on Le'Veon Bell. They also now have an offensive coach, Adam Gase, over a defensive coach who I like, Todd Bowles. So I think Darnold's appropriate right now. I think he'll play himself to a high tier 3 this year. And by the way, I don't have a problem with Baker being ahead of Sam at this point. Baker's got much more things working in his favor. He's got unbelievable wide receivers, unbelievable backs. At this point, a better offensive line.
Well, and I think you can trust Baker a little bit more than
I know.
Darnold.
I know what I have more with Baker this morning than I got to see Sam with a new coach. He's got some good young pieces. So there we go. I mostly agree with it. I don't really care about the order. Tier 1, Aaron was the highest rated. Tier 2, Matt Ryan was the highest rated. Tier 3, Cam was the highest rated. And Tier 4, Lamar was the highest rated. Those are probably appropriate, too. I wouldn't have Aaron 1, but I'd have him somewhere in the top 4.
Yeah, I think these are good groupings.
I really like it.
This is the first list maybe ever that we've, mostly agreed with.
Well, generally, there's a shock component to when people do these lists. The NFL Network does this every year. They want me and guys like me to talk about their list. So the NFL Network will come up with the top 100 players, and, Tebow's ahead of somebody, and you're like, come on. They like the discussion. This is a non-manipulative list.
Really, it's not a list. It's based off of what people voted on. So it's not just a writer comprising a list with, otherwise arbitrary components. This is what the GMs and coaches voted on. So,
what's funny about this? So Matt Ryan was the closest quarterback to making tier 1. He was tier 2, but the highest rated tier 2, meaning the votes came down. It was very close. A couple years ago, I said with Matt Ryan, I said he's the best B-plus quarterback in the league. I have him 9th or 10th in the league. So the truth is, the NFL execs have Matt Ryan exactly where I have, which is 9th or 10th. They've got Ryan, Wentz, and Matt Stafford. And this is, to me, what Matt Ryan is. Matt Ryan's hole in his game is he's got an average arm. He does not push the ball down the field like most of the guys in Tier 1. And he's not overly mobile like a Russell Wilson, who's not considered the greatest passer, but is an unbelievable intuitive playmaker, and he can pass. So of all these quarterbacks, Matt Ryan is the one where the NFL execs and I agree completely. Good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Good enough to win his division 4 to 5 years. Hall of Fame votes, absolutely going to get Hall of Fame votes. Like him a lot, but when Kyle Shanahan made him MVP for a year, I didn't, unlike the rest of the American media, buy into, he's better than Aaron Rodgers. People were saying that. And I was like, no. Coaching matters in this league. Matt's really good. He's a really good, Atlanta's lucky to have him. They're lucky to have him. I'd rather have him than all but 7 guys, 8 guys in the league. So I love lists like that. First of all, I like lists.
You love lists,
and
yes.
I like quarterbacks. So this is like coconut cream pie, my favorite dessert. This is tiramisu. This is
coconut cream pie is your favorite dessert?
And tiramisu, yeah.
Key lime pie is my favorite.
Oh, key lime's great. I remember my first piece, Tampa Bay, interviewing for a job with Daniel Webster. Cinched the deal right there. Overlooking the bay in Tampa. First key lime pie. When you're from rural Washington State, it's not a big key lime pie state.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Crazy Rob Parker's going to yell and scream at me. That's what he does. That's coming up next. Summer is here. It is barbecue season. Folks, I hope you're barbecuing. There is no, Mark Schlereth talked about his yard. I like talking about my grill. It's hamburger season. Yesterday, I just go to the store. I buy some chicken, season it, marinate it, boom, grill, done. How great is that? It's just the best time of the year. ButcherBox has high-density, high-quality protein, grass-fed beef, organic chicken, wild-caught salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, heritage breed pork. And they work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising the animals humane.